Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and today we're going to be doing our weekly walkabout and garden tour. And it just rained, so everything should be nice and lush and green. Let's take a look. Well, I wanted to show you right here at our deck that we have these potentillas that are actually blooming, and I think they're really cute and pretty. Also, our containers are doing really well. The heucheras and the alyssums actually are already starting to get bigger. I have figured out where I'm going to put that pine tree, but it's going to take a little bit before we actually get it into the ground. The hydrangea that we have over here was a florist hydrangea, but it actually is coming back. So I've got a couple blooms here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lots of them, at least 6 that I see already. So that is thrilling. That's going to be beautiful. The clematis over here is blooming like crazy, or clematis as some people say. I say it both ways. We have both the multi-blue and which one is this one right now? I'm totally blanking on it for some reason. And then the scented geranium right at the base here. It is just loaded with flowers, this clematis is, because it has been just such a very lush spring. And over here you can see our hydrangeas are getting really big. Even though our ajuga is starting to slow down, we are now having lots of blooms on the beautiful salvia. And this is the azure snow variety right here. And next to it we have a very light blue one. I have some geums also in this garden bed that are going to bloom soon. These are supposed to be blazing sunset, Chilean blazing sunset, so we'll see what these look like when they open up. You can see we have some chives back over in the background, and we've got chives all kind of throughout the garden. I'm almost done with my mulch pile, you guys. It started raining on me though, so I didn't get it finished, unfortunately. The fountain area is looking really beautiful because the weigela has started to bloom. Look at this weigela. I've got to clean the fountain, so just ignore that. Aren't those gorgeous blooms? And we're starting to get some blooms on our gladiator alliums here. I'm also seeing some really strong shoots on these foxgloves. And this weigela is just bloom heavy this year. Gorgeous. So we're kind of going in a different order than we normally do for our tours, but I thought it would just be fun to do that. And over here we have another clematis. This one is slightly different. I thought this one was called Crystal Fountain, but I'm not sure. It's a little bit more purple than the ones that I've seen online. I have not been able to find the name for this one. I've had this one for quite some time. We have the beautiful autumn frost hostas and the Diamond Lake hosta. That one's only been in the ground for like a year, so it hasn't gotten as big as it should. We have the Let's Dance Rave right here. It's still just kind of growing slowly, not doing a whole lot. I think it's going to do quite a bit more this week because I see warmer temperatures on the way. This is a quick fire hydrangea, and it is definitely really full this year. And we have a Sonic Bloom weigela back here that is starting to bloom. This holly has not been doing a whole lot for me. I'm hoping that it's going to get better. It is the scalawag holly, and I'm looking forward to some new growth on that. So hopefully as the weather gets stronger, we'll see some. Need some warmth. We have our Sicilian honey garlic here that's getting ready to bloom. These just look like fireworks to me. So many different types of alliums do. And then down here we have our Let's Dance Can Do hydrangea, which is a big leaf hydrangea. That is a mix of a mountain hydrangea and a big leaf hydrangea, and it is starting to show some buds. So I think we're going to get some blooms. I don't know if it will be before June or not, but definitely on their way. We have some beautiful color right here in this part of the garden with all of the different kinds of heucheras, the false mophead cypress, the little devil ninebark that's just getting ready to bloom back here. It has buds all over each of its long arching stems here. So that's just beautiful. We have like watermelon carnival in this heuchera family. We've got some caramel. We have the plum pudding. We have some pure joy sedum. This year I've been doing a little bit of propagating of sedum along some of the edges or the borders of the rocks. So we'll see how those do throughout the summer. I'm loving the snowball bush. It still looks amazing. But I haven't come through and gotten to trimming these barberries yet, and they're starting to get a little bit big, so I definitely need to get after that this weekend. I think it will be a good time to do that. But they have beautiful, beautiful red on the new growth. Isn't that pretty? We have another clematis right over here, and it's getting ready to bloom. And this one is the Duchess of Edinburgh. And I'm thinking about trying to divide this spirea shrub right here because I could use another pop of that lemony yellow color in a front garden bed. You can see our arborvitae topiary that we made last fall is filling out. And our deutzia are finally starting to bloom. They really are. They've taken forever this year. Normally they're a much earlier blooming plant. I'm not sure why they're taking so long this year. Maybe because it's been so cool and rainy. This fireside ninebark is really deepening up. We're beginning to see some nice new growth on that. And all of the chives along this edge are opening up. We have the Checkmark Trilogy Weigela back here that's getting ready to bloom. This one blooms in tricolor, like a white, a light pink, and a darker pink. This one's actually put on some really nice new growth over the last year. That one was a clearance plant that was just barely alive when I bought it. And we have our Cirsus canadensis or redbud looking beautiful. This one is really nice and full and has beautiful new growth on it. In comparison, I would say this one over here is either a little bit behind or is not so happy. It's the one with the green leaves. So we'll see how that does this year. Hopefully I don't have to take it out. This is another area where we have some really nice sedum growing along the edge here. This blue sedum. I believe this is the Marina sedum. And then we have some more of the Pure Joy sedum. The lilies are really starting to push a lot of new growth. They're looking nice and full this year. I tucked a couple of hostas along the edge of this border here, just to kind of begin to bring some green in. This is an area where I have a little lime hydrangea right back here that got broken off when the fence was done. I think it got stepped on accidentally, but it's growing back, so we'll see what it does this year. And then I'm not going to take you in the way back garden, unfortunately, today because it's so wet and the mosquitoes are starting to come out. So I will take you back there soon, again, when it's drier. But I do want to show you, I did put a little landing pad here where it gets quite muddy. I took just some of the stepping stones and used some of the gravel that we had around it to fill that area in, and I think it looks really nice, and it's definitely helped as I've pulled my wagon into the back to empty compost and things like that. This part of the garden is incredibly lush. You can see the August moon hosta, which is that bright limey green color. It has really filled in this week. In fact, I'm actually looking to probably divide those and give away some of the pieces of it because they have gotten so large. But really, really nice and colorful on this end. The April night salvias are getting ready to bloom soon. Somebody asked me, do I get slugs and snails? And I don't usually, but I can show you right now. There's a slug right there. This year has been so wet. It's wetter than any that I have on record since I've been in this house. If you hear in the background a lot of noise, I'm hopeful that it's not too noisy, but there's a neighbor getting their roof redone. The bilberry hostas, or heuchera, excuse me, have really filled out right here. And our alyssums are starting to set their roots down really well. So I think those are going to fill in nicely. They've already almost doubled in size, and they definitely no longer have yellow leaves on them, so that's really nice. Over here you can see we've got a lot more of the pink blooms on this variegated catchfly here. Very ethereal and pretty. And then on the end is our back to the fuchsia salvia, which is already blooming. I didn't know that this was an early bloomer, but it definitely seems to be. So I've gotten most of the path mulch this year. Last year I skipped a year. Look at our silver gumdrop heucheras. Aren't they beautiful? They're so shiny. Such a unique plant. I planted this geranium last year. We have some others that I'll show you that are starting to bloom. Look at the weeping spruce. Isn't that gorgeous? It's really filling out. And the beautiful new red growth on the pieris. I'll give you a peek over the fence here. So you can see everything is really, really lush back here. Just looking beautiful. Can't wait to take you back there again. Our heaven sent polemonium is definitely starting to get to the end of its bloom cycle. So I'll have to do some cutback on that. I had to also cut back the lamium to make it so that this little haughty hydrangea, which is a panicle hydrangea, was able to get to the sun because the lamium really was taking over, and it actually will kind of creep up a plant and grab on. The cordial canary ajuga over here is still nice and bright and cheery, and all of the chives are beginning to bloom. We have another little haughty hydrangea right here that is doing really well. This is its second year in the garden. And then right here is our dark side of the moon astilbe that's putting on some nice new growth. Something that has never bloomed for me but has been in the ground over here for several years is this foxtail lily. I have no idea what color it is. I cannot recall. I think it might be like a peachy color, but we'll see when it blooms. Over here, the Annabelle hydrangea has filled in almost the entire sphere that we just recently put on it. I've gotten a lot of questions about where I get these cages from, and these are from Gardener's Supply Company. They have a couple of different sizes. Now I also have to apologize because I've been calling these raspberry splash pulmonaria, but they are actually pretty in pink. I found the tag for them. They look very much like the raspberry splash, but indeed they are actually pretty in pink lungwort. This oak leaf hydrangea is looking really good. And things smell really, really good also back here right now. We have some fragrance going on with the blue moon phlox. That's the beautiful woodland phlox right here that's still blooming. I think this is the 3rd week it's been in bloom. And the pink fizz, tiarella, they've been blooming, but now the flowers are really, really open on them. And as you can see, we have this gorgeous rhododendron back here. I love the color on that one. Just look how giant this hosta has gotten. Holy moly. Well, let's kind of come over here and take a look back just so you can see it from different directions, because it's always fun to look at the garden from different points of view and get an idea of things you might want to change from one direction or another. You can see the pop of that grass now really strongly, and it's beginning to do that beautiful waterfall or cascade effect over the edges of the rocks. So this is just about where it started to rain, and I finished kind of my mulch along this path before it started to downpour. But I definitely will need to come back through and kind of clean up a little bit and then finish out this path. Our allium shiburdii over here are starting to open. Just look at this Crosa regala hosta. It's so pretty. Such a gorgeous vase-like habit. The heucherella that we planted off the front porch back here is looking really good. It's starting to change colors as it gets more exposure to the sun. So it's beginning to blend in. I still may divide one just to plant some more back behind there. I think also over here I'm going to dig up some of the hostas that are around this hydrangea, because this hydrangea is barely getting enough sun. It's just hardly even up above the top of these hydrangeas, and I really need it to get more sun in order to grow. So I'll probably dig up that hosta that's between them there. And that will probably be given away to my sister or someone nearby. Someone suggested that I fill in the space back here with some of these ferns, and luckily enough they look like they're actually going to come up back there and spread. So we may actually have some really natural growth happen that fills that in. I might not actually have to buy something for it. We're getting buds on this smooth hydrangea over here. Lots of them, so I anticipate this one is going to be one of the first ones to bloom. It still will take a little while, but the fact that I'm seeing the buds already is a good sign. I really want to come through and clean up some of the daffodil foliage now. It's getting a little overgrown looking, so I can't see some of the things that I really want to look at and see. So we'll be doing that soon also, probably sometime this week. And here's one of those other geraniums that I was telling you about in bloom. I'm going to have to look up the name of this one. I believe this was one I got bare root from Costco. But it's got really pretty purple flowers and then kind of a reddish maroon dark color on its leaves that are the new fresh growth. The potager garden right now is also looking really, really pretty because we have lots of flowers that are starting to bloom. We have the chives over here starting in this corner, and they're met by chives at the end of this pathway as well. And our red Russian kale is flowering, along with all of the strawberries, which are just starting to end their flowers. So I think we'll start getting some fruit soon. But then we also have quite a bit of irises happening. I believe these are His Royal Highness. I'm going to see if I can find the tag. I know I put the tag down here. I don't see it though. These are absolutely beautiful. They're huge also. Like they're as big as my hand. And then we still have some of the light purple ones that are blooming. And this columbine is probably about 3 feet tall. It's a giant. But that's beautiful also. This garden bed is starting to fill out, and this deutzia is probably the furthest along. You can really start to see the flowers on this one open up, and they're kind of pink and white as they open. The Pinky Winky hydrangea is really filling out, which I love. I'm super happy about that, and you can see the gorgeous colored stems on that. And our Rainbow Sensation Weigela is blooming now, those light pink blooms. And then we have the Dark Horse Weigela also over here. It's just starting to bloom. It's lovely how the Weigelas have their buds in a really deep dark color, and then as they open they get lighter. All right, let's check out the front garden. So our black lace elderberry, after we trimmed it, has put on some really sizable upright growth, which is very pleasing to me. That means we're going to start to get a little bit of height on there, which I'm hoping for. And I'd like to hopefully start to get it to kind of even out so that it's behind this bird bath a little bit more evenly. But otherwise, I think this one area looks very, very good. It's definitely almost completely filled in. We have a quick fire hydrangea over here that is just barely above the geraniums, but it's probably 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet tall. The geraniums this year are monstrous, and we're going to have to come through and pull some of those, but it's a really easy task to do, so it won't take long at all. You can see some beautiful new growth on this variegated sage. And we have our little drumstick alliums that are next to it that I can see some buds on. I'm going to need to pull out the verbena in here, but I do see that we're getting quite a few of little plants that have self-seeded, so that will start to cover it up. We're getting some nice fresh growth on this viburnum still putting out more height, which is fantastic. And the low growth sumacs that we really chopped back are starting to show. We're starting to see that growth come through the lily of the valley as well. I think we might actually, on this orange rocket barberry, keep color all year round. Normally, for the last few years, it has turned kind of the color that it is on the inside, more of that limey green, because of the large maple trees that the neighbors had. But now that those are gone, I don't think it's going to revert. I think it's going to just stay that really beautiful color. And there we have a limelight right there. That one we planted last fall, and it's doing really well, putting on nice growth. And then we have this corner that has some really gorgeous blue between the blue shadow Fothergilla with its small leaves, and then the giant puckered leaves of the Hosta behind it. Look at the little dewdrops on this, or the raindrops that are on it. So pretty. And those waxy leaves. So we'll take a look at this new garden bed. I have some back and black sedum that I got. Or is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, back in black. So we're going to find a place for that. And I think these hostas, while they look good right now, it is May, and they're not going to look good in August because they're going to get so much more sun out here with those maple trees gone. Our crabapple is still doing well. It continues to do well, and I think we're going to be okay with this. I just need to continue to water it throughout the season. I may also stake it up a little bit just to help it because it looks like it's leaning a little bit to the left. We got some beautiful blooms going on these right now. This is the Paint the Town Magenta Dianthus, which is some beautiful blue foliage with the magenta blooms all over it. And have quite a few more blooms coming behind that. We've got some more down at the other end. And this is another sonic bloom Weigela that is covered in blooms. And I'm going to cut off these random, really long stems. I'm just going to cut them back about halfway so that the shrub is a little bit more even. And these blue arrow junipers have not liked all of this rain. They really have been quite unhappy. So you can see there's a little bit of yellowing going on with them. So hopefully things will begin to warm up and be a little bit sunnier. We have some gorgeous salvia down here. And I will tell you, I'm going to have to figure out which one this is because I don't know, but it is beautiful. It is very full. It's a very large bloom, and it's very deep blue purple. And it looks great with the allium. We have really nice looking green foliage for these daisies. These are looking like they're starting to put on some nice stalks, and these will be the goldfinch daisies that are yellow, and they are just stunning. They would provide quite a striking contrast to these alliums, but they will never bloom together. So we've seen these alliums now for a good week and a half. I'm really enjoying their show. And all of the ones along the border remain, but they are starting to turn to seed heads. The seed heads also look really gorgeous. I'm starting to see buds on the oak leaf hydrangea here, so that's really exciting. One here, one down here. I don't know how many this is going to get, but it's looking quite full. And so that's really exciting to me. And it looks so gorgeous next to those orange rocket barberries, doesn't it? And another thing that does is this iris. This is the concertina iris. And it's a really pale pink. And then the beard in its throat is a gorgeous like lavender color. And they smell wonderful too. And our dianthus are starting to bloom along the edge of this border, which is nice for a little bit more color as well. We do have some more concertina iris that are growing at the front of this border. They just haven't opened yet. So this is what the beautiful buds look like. And you can see we have deutzia up here that are also getting ready to bloom. And this front bed is really starting to fill out now. We have the boba hydrangeas as well as the sedum in front of the barberry here. Well, here we go. Our bunny is here saying hello. We have quite a few bunnies that are babies also running around through the garden right now. I thought we might get some of the blooms in this garden bed, but we are not getting those. And unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to get rid of these viburnums. These are blue muffin viburnums, and they are being decimated, and I know this is the viburnum beetle. So these are going to have to go. I will have to dig these out. Very, very unfortunate, but it is what it is. I am getting some beautiful blooms that are getting ready to do something on this black lace elderberry, but they're just not quite there yet. I think with the warm weather that we have coming and the sunshine, they're going to open up. So probably next week we'll be able to show you what those look like. I did over here decide to divide my true blue fescue. So now we have 5 of those plants along the edge here instead of just 3. So hopefully those will fill in a little bit over this summer. Bunny's so darn cute, isn't it? And then we have our spirea right here, and the peonies that are behind it. We're starting to get some buds on those. And because it's been cool, we're still seeing our blooms on our violas. And then we have the, let me see if I can remember the name of this. Lithona? No. Lithidora. It's the Lithidora. That's still blooming, which is such a beautiful blue. I don't think I've ever seen such an intense blue before, but this Lithidora is still blooming over here as well, and it's been blooming for several weeks. So that's great. I'm really, really happy with the way that this false mophead cypress is growing back here. It's put on some nice new growth. It's filling in a little bit, getting a little bit thicker, and I love the pop of color that it brings to this garden bed, and it will continue to get taller and wider and fill up that space. Now, I also am seeing that my prairie winds grass has started to come back this year. So I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it here, and I probably will dig it out this fall and use it in some planters. I have one there and one over here. And then there will be plenty of room for the shrubs that are there to still continue to grow on. This is a beautiful little grouping right here between the chives and the Lithidora and the violas. Let's take a look at the front porch real quick. Oh, something I wanted to show you is this door. I have painted this door with one coat. It definitely needs another coat, but this is the color of the fence. And then also over here, where you can see the flowers are already starting to get bigger, I have painted the front door, and it really brightens up this area. And you can see these impatiens are really starting to fill out. This topiary is looking good. It's putting on lots of new growth. And this year, because I haven't got any bushes around it, no birds really come to this bird bath. So I thought I would create a moss garden. And I'm loving it, you guys. My sister brought me some moss from her garden, and I put a little bit of soil underneath of it and just watered it in, and I'm keeping it moist, and it's doing great. Have a beautiful maidenhair fern here. And everything is just doing really, really well in this Hosta shade garden, along with the hellebores. There's that pieris. The red growth is now turning a little bit more orangey. And I'm going to need to pull that geranium away from it to give it more room for some sunshine and growth. But everything has greened up really, really well and is just looking so lush right now. Finally, I'd like to take you along this path right here, which we dug up the boxwoods recently. We are now starting to get some blooms on the pom-pom pink dianthus along the edge, which are super cute and pretty, but we needed something more, so I did buy something, and I'm going to leave that as a surprise until we plant them together, and I can't wait to show you. Look at how well this PG hydrangea standard's doing. It is just so full this year. And we still have some gorgeous snowballs on this eastern snowball viburnum. It's putting on lots of growth though, so as soon as these start to fade, I'm going to do my trimming on this. You can see our bedazzled hostas underneath the strawberry Sunday hydrangea are looking amazing, and they're starting to fill in over here as well. These are Great Expectations, actually, is what I believe these are. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this garden tour. It was lovely to take you out and about, and we'll see you next time.